You couldn't even focus long enough to give a speech. You'd be standing up there going, Joseph Campbell, I'm running for president. Hey, I like your shirt back there. I mean, like you cannot focus. No.
Thank you. There's a vote right there.
No. Okay, so, oh yeah, I already did. Okay, so before I start today, I want to talk about the triangles. So first of all, in a right triangle, the side across from the right angle is always the hypotenuse. Always. So if the side across from right angle is the hypotenuse, this side is already used up, right? So we have opposite adjacent side. That's what we have left. Alyssa, I'm going to take that. So I'm going to have two other sides left. If I'm looking at this angle, and this side is already used, this side, the leg, they make the right triangle. These are the legs. This one is touching this angle. This is the adjacent leg. The opposite leg is the leg across from the angle. This is the opposite, and this one is the adjacent. But the hypotenuse is always the first one you're going to label because it's always across from the right angle. Okay? So let's do this easy peasy stuff. So we already talked about the SOHCAHTOA, right? The SOHCA, the sine. It's the opposite over the adjacent. So, SOHCAHTOA. So, if you look at this angle right here, I'm going to look at that angle. I'm given 32. First thing I want to do, where's the right angle? It's right here. So, what side is this? This is hypotenuse. And this side from this angle is opposite, right? So this is my opposite side. So I have opposite and hypotenuse. So which one of these is that? It's the sine, right? So I'm going to take the sine of 32 equals 11 over x. And I'm going to put a 1 under here, and I'm going to cross multiply. And so how do I get the x by itself? We divide by the sine of 32. So use your handy dandy calculator and see what you get for x. Did everybody get 20.758? Okay, so the next one, where's the right angle? It's right here. So what side is this? Hypotenuse. So here's the angle that I'm given right here. So what's this side? This is opposite, and this side is perfect. So this is opposite, and this is adjacent. So I'm given opposite and adjacent, and that is the tangent. So I'm going to do the tangent of 75, and that's going to equal x over 21. If I put a 1 under here and cross multiply, So I get 78.373. Yes? Okay, so you and your partner do the next two. Okay. Yes. Okay, we're good? Okay, so y'all, up here, what did we find? Up here, what did I find? Did I find angles or sides? I found sides. So down here, we're looking for the angle, okay? So this is the angle I'm given right here. So this side is across from the right angle, so this is the hypotenuse. This is the angle I'm given. The 18 is touching this, so this side is adjacent. So I have adjacent and hypotenuse. So which one of these do I have? Cosine, okay? So let's just write this. I want the cosine of theta is going to equal 18 over 23. So I'm going to label this one as well. So across from the right angle is the 21. So this is the hypotenuse. Here's my angle right here. So the side I'm given, does it touch the angle? So this is opposite. So I have opposite and hypotenuse, which is which one? It's sine, okay? So I'm going to have the sine of theta equals 5 over 21. So if I'm solving for x squared, how do I solve for x squared? I square root it, right? If we're adding something, I have to subtract it. If I have x to the third, we take the cube root. We do the inverse function, right? So I need to solve for my theta. I want to find theta, which means I have to get rid of my cosine. So I have to do the inverse function. So the inverse function looks like this. And when I want to get the theta alone on the cosine, I need the inverse function of the cosine. And if I'm solving for the angle on the tangent, I do the inverse function of the tangent. So what I'm saying is I want to know what angle has this for a cosine. And your calculator will do it. So on the cosine button, above the cosine button is the inverse. So you're going to shift, and this is how you'll type it in. Theta is going to equal the inverse cosine of 18 over 23. And this should give you your angle back. And if you type it in, I got 38.5 degrees. And I got 13.774 degrees for that one. So everybody try, make sure you can type that in the calculator, and that's the answer you got. Give me a thumbs up if you got it. Okay. So then what I would like for you to do with your partner is I want you to do 9 and 10. Bless you. Okay, how many of you got this? Yes? Okay. Okay, so look at number 13. What do I have to find in number 13? I have to find the rest of the sides and the other angle, right? So I'm all about being lazy here. Like, we want the easiest way out, right? So first of all, how much do the angles add up inside a triangle? 180. So if this is 72 and this is 90, what's left for this one? So we just have to subtract, right? So that's like the easiest way to do that. So now I need to find this side and this side. So I have 72 degrees. I'm given that. And 15 is the adjacent side to 17. So if I want to find the hypotenuse, the adjacent and the hypotenuse is cosine. So we're going to have the cosine of 72 is going to equal 15 over AB. You put a 1 under here and cross multiply. So the first time through, this was where some of you were having an issue, right? You didn't know what to do next. But I want to solve for the AB. And this is multiply. And how do I undo multiply? So I'm going to divide by the cosine of 72. And these cancel out. And I get an answer then for AB. And y'all type that in and see if you come up with the same as me. So then how would I find BC? The tangent, right? Because this is the opposite over the adjacent. So I would do the tangent of 72 equals BC over 15. And when I cross multiply, I get this. So on the first go round, some of you didn't know what to do next. Do I have to do anything? The BC is by itself, so now you can just multiply 15 times tangent of 72, and I got 46.165. Yes? Perfect. Okay, I just wanted to explain one more thing. So look at number 15. This time I don't have any angles, but I have two sides. Can I find the third side? By doing what? Right, we can do the Pythagorean theorem. Which two go together? Which two go together on the one side? The a squared and b squared. Well, no one's going to label this a squared and b squared for you. So the two sides that make up the right angle, that is your a and b. So I'm going to have 7.6 squared plus JL squared equals 8 squared. So if you do that, I got 2.498 for JL. So the next thing, we just have to find one angle, and so we can do it however we want. What do you want to do here? Do we want to find K or do we find L? Because it doesn't matter. Somebody pick. L. All right, so if we're going to do L, so I'm given opposite over hypotenuse. So which one do I have to use? Sine of L equals 7.6 over 8. So I'm finding an angle, so that means you have to use the inverse sine, right? So I'm going to have L equals the inverse sine of 7.6 over 8. And that gives me 71.805. And then how do I find K? I'm just going to subtract because that's the easy way out. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, so before I hand out the homework, y'all, everybody watch because a lot of you missed on the quiz. So if the tangent is 21 over 20, first of all, tangent is what? Y over x. And it's negative, so I don't know whether that's the y or the x that's negative. I don't know, right? I know that y is 21, and I know that x is 20, but I don't know where the negative goes. But I know that sine is less than 0. And sine is which one? And this is less than 0. Well, the r is positive. What does that mean the y has to be? So my y is the negative one. So can the x be negative? Why? Because two negatives would make it a positive. So if I have a negative y and a positive x, which quadrant am I in? The fourth, right? So that tells me that my x is positive and my y was negative. And there's my r. And what did the r end up being? 29? So the sine was y over r, so that's negative 21 over 29. The cosine would be 20 over 29. The cosecant is the inverse of which one? Sine. So the cosecant would be 29 over negative 21. The secant, I'm going to flip this one, which would be 29 over 20. And the cotangent is the flip of the first one. Okay? Angle in the triangle. So 180 minus 90 minus the one I found, and that gives you that one. Oh, sorry. Cyan, can I pass these out before I have to do? No. Put your legs till I'm done. I'm gonna have to take that off.